Right, hi guys, welcome to another video. So this video I've decided to do because a subscriber, I think he's a subscriber, he at least watched one of my videos and commented. He asked if I could do a video on, how to be professional when you turn up to a customer's property. Now, I thought that was a pretty interesting video for me personally to do because I started out from my car without a uniform, and I thought, yeah, this could be a good video in the sense that I can tell you how I started and I can tell you what I've learned to where I am now and kind of that process. So I thought, yeah, that seems a really good video. So thanks for asking us, basically. So I'll get into it now. So basically, for those of you who don't know, so I'm only into my third year. This is the start of the third year as I'm filming. I don't know when this video will be out, mind. We're at the start of mid-March actually, so no idea when it'll be out. So basically, I started out the back of my car with no uniform, with the famous, oh, I think it's famous, it's clearly not, push mower. It's my £60 push mower, and I got work and I built my customer base. Now, did I turn up there looking professional? No. I'd like to think kind of they could say that I was a canny enough lad, and I'm hoping that's why, I'm guessing that's why I got the work and stuff, but definitely didn't look professional. So that begs the question, do you have to look professional in order to get jobs? I would say no. Did I lose out on jobs? Yes, but that's inevitable. Who knows why that is? So yeah, I don't know. But is it better to look professional? Of course it is. Of course it is. And looking back, I don't know why I didn't get a uniform straight away. I had to make do with my car. That was, the van was a big expense. I had some second-hand gear, some new gear. Yeah, like, obviously it was the process, and I've documented all that on YouTube. But yeah, it started off just not looking professional, on the eye, no uniform. It's terrible really when you think, but we kind of, as long as you're kind of making progress, is what I've said to myself the whole way through. So yeah, anyway, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of talk you through the whole process. So from when the customer rings you to literally going out to doing the work. So I'm going to tell you the things that I like to do to try and come across well and for want of a better phrase, to look professional. So you get the call or you get the text message or whatever it may be, and needless to say, you either ring them back if they leave a message, or you obviously answer the phone and you're polite, all the rest of it. What I like to do is try and get them booked in, where possible for the next few days. Certainly, within a week. I don't want to have them waiting longer than that. Obviously, if I cannot do it, then I can't do it. Generally speaking, though, I get calls from people who are within my area, within me round, so I can, between jobs I can go. So it's very easy for me personally to do that. I don't have a long travel time, between jobs or anything like that. I keep it to a handful of areas, so that's no problems there. Yeah, so obviously you get that booked in. You tell them either an exact time or a rough time. I tend not to like to say mornings or afternoons because then they're having to wait around for you. If you can't narrow it down, then you can't narrow it down. That's perfectly acceptable. I'm just telling you obviously how I like to do things. So I like to give them a rough time within an hour or so. And as I say, it's easy for me because it's, generally speaking, it's in the area. So then you turn up when you say you're going to turn up. If you can't turn up for whatever reason, and it does happen, make sure you let them know. That would be being professional. So yeah, make sure you let them know, and also rearrange it. Yeah, so when you get there, don't park on the drive. I don't know why you would, unless you literally can't park anywhere else, and then you just say, oh, like, excuse yourself, sort of thing. Oh, excuse me, I hope you don't mind us parking on your drive. I've had a couple of people say that. It was like, just when you get chatting to people about like tradesmen in general, really. you know, a couple of people said, well, he just came, he parked straight on me, drived it. It's always when they've done a bad job though, so I'm sure if they did a good job they wouldn't have mentioned it. But it's just like being like kind of courteous and manners, really. That's pretty much the thing all the way through the process, as well as doing a good job. You know, make sure you're courteous and not miserable. Just have a smile on your face, be a bit cheerful, you know. It's hard when the customer's not, and generally speaking, if the customer's miserable, you know, I'm less inclined to be cheerful and chirpy, and I'll just get on with the job and, you know, don't bother making any small talk or anything. But you know, most people are fine, and you end up having a little chat with them, and it's you know, it's all good. So getting back to it, so they show you the job, get them to be as specific as possible. A lot of the time, and this wine, I say it winds us up, it's not as bad as that, but it kind of irritates us a little bit when they say, oh, I just want a general tidy. And depending on the garden, it might be obvious when you're looking at it, but a lot of the time, like, what is a general tidy? Like, you'll probably be having a look, and when you go into a garden, you're immediately scanning it and looking for obvious things that might need doing. And when people say a general tidy, I always say you're going to have to be a bit more specific, like walkers around the garden and talkers around the garden, and just tell us exactly what you want doing, so that way there's no grey areas, and hopefully that comes across well as well, you know. So you kind of crossing all the T's, dotting all the I's, and just, you know, making sure that there's no grey areas, basically. So, you know, you have a look. What I tend to do now and what I didn't used to do, I used to be a little bit nervous, you know, when you're starting out, your diary's not full and you want the job and you want all the work, you know, that's going. And I didn't want to leave without securing the garden, and that's a big mistake, because I soon learned that chances are you'll be the only one to have gone out to quote. Chances are that they'll have been let down by people, and you know, chances are if you've gone to price for the work, they won't get anyone else in. Now, I'm talking about general maintenance or, you know, standard gardening jobs. If, you know, I don't do any landscaping, but obviously if it's bigger jobs, you know, that are going to be pricey, they're probably going to get a couple of quotes, and that's obviously standard and fair enough. But yeah, like now, unless it's a standard grass cut in and out half an hour job, I'll know that price and I'll tell them straight away. Generally speaking, 80% of the time I'll say to them, right, I'll have a think on the price, I'll get back to you in the next couple of days. Generally speaking, it's the same day. You know, you pretty much know kind of when you go back to the van what you'll roughly charge. Occasionally I'll take pictures if I think it's needed. Just to, again, talking about, you know, looking professional and stuff, you know, I've got my diary here. I'll take that with us just in case I need to jot anything down. As I say, I'll take pictures for things that I might need to kind of jog my memory on and look back on. And hopefully that shows that you're being, you know, thorough in your assessment of the garden, and that should hopefully come across well, and the customer can see that you're taking it seriously and you care. You might get into a little chat with them about, you know, depending on the job and things, how you would like the end product to be, as in, you know, where do you see the garden in sort of 6 months if it's if the garden's a project. Or, you know, you would ask them things as well, like, have I got sole responsibility of the garden? Do you like to potter around, or, you know, do bits and pieces? You've got to, but, you know, you've got to ask those questions, but that's getting into like a bit of a separate video in terms of, you know, what do you look for and what do you ask when you're quoting maintenance work, and I've done videos on that, so, you know, feel free to have a look at the channel there. But in terms of coming across well and, you know, keep using that word, being professional, you know, that's kind of what I do, and I don't like to leave it too long. It'll be like the same day or the next day that I'll get back in touch with them, because then people are wondering, they're hanging on. If I cannot do it, I'll let them know. You might have to tell a few white lies as to, you know, why you don't want the garden. Sometimes you just, get a bad vibe from the customer. That's the worst case scenario. That's maybe happened twice to us. And then you're not going to tell them that, are you? So you just have to like make a bit of an excuse or something. But make sure you tell them either way. Most people are fine with that. It's, you know, what they're going to do, drag you around and make you do the garden. I don't think so. So that's fine. And someone's just looking at us out the window there, so I might move. I'm not sure. Anyway, So the next step, really, if you're going to take on the garden, is letting them know your price. Now, I like to keep it sort of semi-informal. I don't tend to like to use emails because, well, one, I don't like using emails on my phone. I find it, yeah, I just don't like it. I would rather message, WhatsApp, or, you know, ring them. I have sent a few emails on occasion where I feel it's warranted, where I need to include a lot of information. So if you use emails and all that, that's perfectly fine. This is just a personal preference. You would argue that an email would look more professional than a text message. I'm not saying that it's a well-constructed text message, and you know, it's not like a quick message. I'm not putting lol at the end and all that kind of thing. It's a proper message, you know. But yeah, an email would probably look a bit more professional. I just find it's easier, and I think people probably find it easier just to receive a text message, or, you know, receive a phone call. But that's just me. So yeah, so within that quote, within the text message or whatever it is, however you're going to do it, I literally detail every little thing that I'm going to do in that garden, so there's no grey areas whatsoever. I'll tell them a start date if they want to go ahead, so it'll be like, if you choose to go ahead, this will be at the end, so I'll tell them the price as well. Then at the end, I'll tell them, I'll say, you know, if you want to go ahead, I can start on this day, and then it'll be fortnightly from then on in. Or, you know, if it's a one-off, obviously the date's the date. It might be applicable to tell them how long it's going to take as well. I don't know, I tend not to like to let on to people how long it's going to take, because then they might get an idea, or start thinking, well, he's charging this, he's only going to be there half a morning. It's the whole like hourly rate thing again with people. I think they say, well, he's, I don't know, like a 2-hour job, I might be getting 70-80 quid, for example. And they'd be like, wow, 40 quid an hour for a gardener. Like, so that's why I don't like to tell them. I tell them the price when the job's done. It's done. You know, if it's done to the you know, the right standard, a high standard, it shouldn't matter how long it takes, and that shouldn't affect the customer. So that's why I don't like to tell them any sort of time scales unless it's applicable. Do you give them a time? I like to, you know, if it's a new customer, give them a rough time when I might be turning up, whether they're going to be there or not. I always say, you don't have to be there. I've got all, you know, my own gear. I don't need access to electricity or anything like that. So if you are going to be out, that's fine. Just leave any gates unlocked, type of thing, and just include the you know, relative information. And you know, then on the day of the job, obviously it goes without saying, if you can't turn up, then you let them know, you rearrange. That does happen, that's fine. So on the day of the job, you know, ask permission again to park on the drive. Sometimes it might be really easier for you to park on the drive, but just ask them. It's just, you know, politeness. And then, you know, you get to work, basically. I haven't yet once used anyone's toilet. Yes, I've accepted a fair few cups of teas and all that. I think that's fine. I think some people turn them down. You know, I've heard 1 or 2 people say that they don't accept it because they think it's kind of looks bad in some way. I don't know. I don't get that personally, but again, everyone's different. You know, so yeah, I don't use the toilet. I make sure, you know, after the job's finished, it's all tidy. There's no there's no mud or anything on the paths and walkways, and you know, if you're doing work, the work should be up to standard, and it's all, you know, it's standard stuff really. is what I'm trying to say. You know, you leave it in as you found it. And going back to the quote as well, I would put on the quote that you know, the methods of payment. So I always say I accept either cash or bank transfer or PayPal sometimes as well. So I'd put that on the quote there. And if they haven't told you, you know, how they're going to be paying, you're probably going to want to just mention this to them at the end of the job. Just simply say, you know, how would you like to pay, and you know, you take it from there. So I think I've included pretty much everything. It's quite a long video this. If you've got this far, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. That'd be like much appreciated. Hopefully that's like answered your question. And you know, if anyone's got any questions, pop them below in the box, and I'll be happy to answer. Yeah, I'll leave it there. Thanks guys. See you in the next one.